able to figure things out. Second, here we go. Ooh, all right. Right. So by watching or reading this, you're saying you understand the following. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not trading advice. This session is solely for educational purposes. There are significant financial risks associated with options trading, and I'm not liable for your wins or losses in the market if you decide to act on this information. Now, let's just tap right in. So we're going to jump right into sector performance. So, and this is options flow. So on Friday, the most call options flow went into TLT. That's one of Peter's stocks. Well, it's really an ETF that tracks the bond market, followed by Bank of America, Adobe, GDX, and Apple. On the put side, a lot of heavy flow was going into Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, JP Morgan, and Google. So Class A. For the week, the top call options flow went into Tesla, VRT, Palantir, that's size stock, IBIT, and X. On the flip side, for the puts, MSTR, Amazon, Nvidia Coin, and TSM. So keep it moving. Now, a lot of these slides I deactivated. So hold on, before we go there. Yeah, now we can go there first. We can go there first. All right, so look, here's our profits for the year thus far. And I just always got to preface this by saying this because this is the real flex for me, though. Again, not for me personally, but for the team. You don't have to risk a lot to make a lot of money in this community. You know, in this community, you can buy one contract. So I see a lot of people all over threads, over Instagram and everything, and they be like, I made or this person made $15,000 this week or this month or something like that. But the money that they're putting up, if they put that money into my plays, you know, these are you buying one contract to make the money and our trades here. So it's like I said, if we made 15 bands and that's 12 weeks from January 2nd to March 14th, 12 weeks made that much money. And that's 10 weeks, my bad, 10 weeks, you know, from January 2nd to March 14th, 10 weeks already made almost 16 bands, and that's just from buying one contract. Imagine if you somebody that buy 10 contracts, you somebody that buy two, you would already be up 30 bands. So I'm just saying, put those things into perspective when you're looking at this. But yeah, so right now we did that, and these are net profits. So this is when you subtract the losses from the wins. And just and this is like I saw a question in the chat last night. What was like this morning? Someone was asking me some questions about the subscriptions and stuff like that, and I just had to stop for a second, like let them know, like, look, man, if you don't, and I mean this in a bad way, but I'm gonna say it in a funny way though. Like you just spend your little $250. You're gonna get it back times at least 2,000 if you know on average. You know, I'll say we haven't cleared less than 1,000% ROI on any of our memberships, and I don't know, Lord, and definitely not in the last 3 years. So you know, it's like almost you can guarantee to get the money back if you start with enough money. Like I said, if you start, I'm gonna say I always tell people to start with more, but let's just say if you started with $1,000, right? If you started with $1,000 and you only followed my path or whatever, you're going to end every single month with a surplus, and you're going to kill every single month like we do. So just want to put that in perspective. Now I'm gonna go break this down. This was January's, and the reason I'm doing this because we didn't have February's for a while because I was traveling and we just didn't have a few meetings for a while. So for January profits, these are every single trade we took. Now, again, not when I say every single trade, I mean every single trade that hit the chat. So if we had some trades that were on live stream only, or certain earnings trades that were called out separately, or something like that, or that we only talked about on a live stream where there is no ledger proof that the trade was called out, it's not on this list. You know what I mean? Only trades that are on this list are the ones that can be audited in my community. And, you know, Discord gonna show if you edit anything. So ain't no edits and none of this, and none of our trade call outs or whatever. So you can go, anybody want to, they can go and edit every single trade that ever got called out since the history of this community. But anyway, for the month of January, we cleared $4,638 in net profits, you know, for those who just grabbed one contract. That's a 4,000. That's a 1,800% ROI on the $250 dollar membership, right? And then on the 175, that was a 2,600% ROI on that one. So we 4,600 for January, and that already took that killed. Now keep in mind, I got to go back for a second because we talked about this at the beginning of the year. Last year we cleared 62 bands for those who grab one single option per trade alert last year, right? And KK, I ain't gonna talk about what KK said, but basically every year we try to take out the number. But I don't like to look at things as this big astronomical number like the year. I like to break it down into months. So in January of 2024, I think it was like I forgot what the number was. I think it was like 3,000 something or whatever. So we cleared whatever it was. We beat that number already for January of this year. So we already started off on the right foot. And then for February this month, we cleared over $8,400 for the month of February. So and these are net profits. I had to do this in two screens. So you see the losses in there and the wins. We blasted through last year's totals for February. And then for March thus far, only 2 weeks in, we already cleared 2,300. And with the average percentage on our trades at 112%. So, we already on course. Like you see, there's that that 1,000% ROI creeping up on that $250 membership right there. You know what I'm saying? So we already clearing it, and we already on the move, and things are just kicking. So just follow the process and you'll make money around here. Now let's just hop into things. I know there's another slide that I want to hit that I don't think is going to show up. So I'm gonna have to, let me just do this for a second because I know, no, it was actually going to show up. It was actually going to show up. Let me get back to present. All right. We're going to recap. All right. So we normally call this like our, this would be our recap. And, but I like to open this up and we just talk. So, KK, you got anything you want to say for this, just for, because we kind of like to have our little conversations sometimes, and this is a good time to kind of open things up.
I think my main thing is, I've been here for a long time. For people that don't know, I've been in the group like since like 2021. And, I've seen a lot of people come, I've seen a lot of people go, and the people that I see go more times than not is because they are choosing to go down their own path and do whatever it is that, they know better, and they're just not following the process. Like I posted on Threads the other day, like people think the process is failing them when they're failing the process. I have been in a group. I did not know how to trade. And then I came and, followed what was being taught to me. And, that's how I became the trader I am today. So I just feel like people need to stop trying to reinvent the wheel that we already know works. It works. It's so many people who have come into the group, young people, older people, people with businesses, people of all walks of life. And if they follow the process that is given to them, they don't leave. They don't leave because they are consistently making money. So I just want people to like let go. Antoine always says this, like, you just gotta get over yourself and be like, you know what? I gotta give this process a try. I gotta do it the way that they have laid out already, and see where it goes from there. And being discouraged because something doesn't go your way, or you watching other people contracts and look like, never pay attention to none of that, because you on your own journey. You're gonna get there. You just gotta you gotta get over yourself, and you just gotta follow what's happening for you. Follow the process that's being laid out. I think that's just something that I've noticed since like the beginning of the year to now. Of a lot of the people that's coming in, they come into the group, they ask these questions that unfortunately for us, we've been answering. For a lot of us who would answer questions, have been here for many years and have been answering these same questions over and over. But what it shows me is that you haven't taken the time to read what has been given to you and everything that's been laid out for you. If you follow that and you refer back to those things before you ask questions, you might not get the type of prickly answer that you might not want to hear. Like, because we want you to follow what's being given to you. And I have no problem with answering things about trading. But if you ask me what time is the Zoom session, I'm probably not going to answer that.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna send a link and say go to the how-to guide. I'm not gonna answer that because I know that that is already there for you if you follow the process that's laid out for you.
Right. And it's like, and the reason it's important to look at it in a different way too, because like even if you're working for a company or anything, everybody got their own weight that they have to deal with, and people don't mind helping, but it's like, damn, you're gonna come in and at least try to learn the basics. You know what I mean? Learn the basics so you can move around and add some value because you have expectations of us, but we have expectations of you too. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, and not to be funny, like I had to tell someone last night, I'm not trying to convince anybody to join here, but we just like you can fire me, I can fire you too. Like, this ain't a perfect fit. It's not gonna work. I'd rather you leave gracefully now. Here's your money so that way you don't blow your account. And that kind of reflects on me, and it doesn't, but it does, And so we just want to, if you follow this process, and I start off every year letting everybody know this, look, you may have missed out on last year. You may not have participated in last year. You may not have hit the mark, but now you
Right.
got a whole new year to reset and start over again. And look where we are. We already
Mhm.
killing last year's profit starting off this year. KK is shooting for 100K. She said that's what I can do this year for the team or whatever, but I'm not trying to I don't like to put numbers. I don't like to shoot for numbers because in that, like I tell my team all the time, like if you I had a coaching with someone last week, and I was setting up a plan for her of like how she can replace her job salary because she wants to fire her job. I've helped hundreds of people fire their jobs over the last few years. So I was coming up with a plan for her to help her fire her job, and I said, well, we can start off like this. You can make $1,000 a week. And one thing I had to get back to her and let her know, like, look, $1,000 a week doesn't necessarily mean you have to make $200 a day. You're not going to force trades. You're still going to look for your setups and you're still going to only trade these things. We're still not going to trade on certain days if the conditions aren't met that we are looking for trading. And some days you're going to make $400, or you may make $1,000. You may make $500, but the goal is just $1,000 a day. That's 200. I mean, $1,000 a week. That's $200 a day. That's $4,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? So you could replace. So just to start off small like that, once you get that repetition going, then you can do more. But the whole point is like it takes discipline. Whoever you are as a person is who you're going to be in your trading. And following my process, sometimes it's going to get hard. Like, like I wanted to talk about this too. Not this past week, not this past week, but the week before, the first week of March Madness, everybody, it was just a few people, a lot of people joined that week. And they joined because they want those earnings. They wanted to get into earnings plays or whatever. I said, okay, you want earnings? I'm gonna give you some earnings because there's a dark side to earnings too. And I tell one of my favorite things to say is earnings schmearnings because earnings is a YOLO lotto trade. It's a trade that it's a possibility that you may hit. It's a possibility you may not hit. But a lot of times you don't get that recourse where it's an in between. If an earnings play is in between, that means most of the time you get clapped on both sides of that trade, and you lose all of your money, right? That's the gamble with it. Now, people wanted earnings, and they see all the big money that we make doing earnings, but I feel like, and we got this earning circle, but I feel like it's certain people that I'll put in that circle based on how I've seen them trade. Like if you can't handle trading or make decisions in real time in the middle of Desert Storm on your own or follow a small process, like imagine how much difficult it's going to be for me to help lead you if I got thousands of dollars on the line too, and I'm trying to put the whole team in a play the morning after too. I can't help you manage your trade in that regard. You gotta know, but the earnings trades, they can be different. Like I said, sometimes they'll hit, sometimes they won't. You see all of the wins and how beautiful the earnings stuff look, but when we lose in earnings, you don't hear about it because we move right on to the next trade like it never happened. I've seen people lose money. He's not on here right now. I was gonna give him a shout out, but I've seen people lose like $1,000 on a Netflix play that I said not to trade anyway, right? Lost $1,000 on that trade and wiped it off like it never happened because it was already up like 7 bands on the week. because y'all don't see that part. Like we be killing, we be crushing those plays left and right. Like you, and so everybody wanted earnings trades. So I'm just gonna let me wrap this up. Everybody wanted earnings trades. So I called out 3 earnings trades in the group that the first week of March Madness, and none of them hit. None of them hit. But with the way I trade, like I'm not a one of those traders that only thrive when things are going in my favor. That's not the way I trade. Like I know how to navigate this market. So even if the earnings trade didn't hit, we found recourse and we found a way to get that money back without having to lose the money. And most of those trades without having to put any additional money up. We kind of managed it the morning after because it wasn't a total clappage situation and got the money back, right? But and I'll give you then we had a big one on Friday, Thursday going into Friday. It was AVGO, right? And what happened with that was it we kind of anticipated it though. Like right after the big play and it ran up and everything, I was talking to KK and I said, well, don't get too excited. We got the biggest jobs report of 2025 in the morning and it could come crashing down. You know, we in a market is in uncertainty right now with all of these tariffs too. So that's exactly what happened. AVGO was sitting up looking like it was giving Loch Ness, not Loch Ness monster vibes and everything. That non-farm payroll data came out that morning and it dragged AVGO all the way down. But I told my team, hold on, don't sell that trade. Now I didn't initially. Let me tell you how this went down though. This is how I move. I knew the team was going to feel some type of way because it was like $500 to get into that trade, and the cost it wasn't a clapping situation because I placed my team in a nice place where theta IV and delta wasn't going to be too much of a factor. I mean, obviously we just had to really worry about Vega exposure and IV for the most part. So I kind of placed them in a safer position. But but what I was looking for is recourse immediately. So I was trading App Loving the night before, some puts on that one, took profit. I mean, had the team take profit on that, right? What I did was the next morning at market open, I was foxing App Loving and for a big move down. Got the team in a trade for like $200, and that ran all the way up to like 850. So that was going to immediately cover the full amount for the AVGO trade. But I told the team not to sell AVGO. I'm like, listen, we got Powell about to speak in a little while. So someone was saying that AVGO was getting killed. I'm like, no, the whole market is coming down, but Powell is speaking soon. And like I told y'all, they only send Powell out there for 1 or 2 reasons: to take the market up or to bring the market down. And it was already down. So, Powell came out and AVGO bounced and everything. But the whole point was when I posted the App Loving trade, I told y'all, I said, this contract is going to go in the money, and posted a chart with it. And, that took care of that. So we kind of, all I'm saying is there's a method to my madness. I gave y'all a little, y'all wanted the earnings trades. I gave y'all the earnings trades. But what'll happen is this: we get in those plays. If a play doesn't do what you want it to do right away, or let's say we had a really good trade and everything was running, then the next trade, the people who didn't get in the last one, now they're motivated to get into the next one. That's not how trading should work, and that's not how your motivation should work or inspiration. But if a trade is bad, then everybody want to be apprehensive for the next one. Now, KK will tell you how that works typically with me. Now, if if a trade doesn't work out, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like, what's up, Quasi? I thought you were saying something because your mic came open. You took your mute off. But yeah, like I said, man, it's just like you gotta follow. It's a process over here. And if you look at all of my trades, most of the time they are the same setups. It's the same setups I play over and over again. Most of the time, the same stocks, the same catalyst, and I'm heavy on support and resistance. People hate to talk about support and resistance because they love to skip it, but skipping it is like skipping adding and subtracting. And so you won't know how to problem solve when things get rough. And that's what we do best here. Like I told my team, if we going, but I'm gonna move on. But I'm saying, but like all I'm basically saying is you see where we are for the year thus far. Follow me. I got you. And if you have and I'm gonna say this to everybody right now. I said it on the one-on-one last night, but I'm gonna say it right now. If I alert a trade in the morning and that trade takes off right away, and you got questions about that trade, or you're still in the trade, you up substantially on the trade, and you might be a new member, and you just don't know, like, because some people say stuff like, well, damn, I should have held that longer, and I got out and I see it kept running. I'm saying, no, you shouldn't have, because you should only drive as far as you can see or as fast as you can see, right? So, but you can ask questions though. If I'm online and I called out the trade, if I get the certain question, like I was telling one of my members last night, I said, you guys, it's the way you ask the question to get what you want. If you say something like this, should I should I keep should I stay in this trade longer? That question that question may require. People can solve this puzzle. Hold on. Someone's phone just did that. 1 second. I just heard some noise. But yes, what I'm saying is that question may require additional questions to get what you really want. When you can ask this question, where is the price target for this trade? If you ask that question, what the price target is, I'm gonna give you a chart, because like I said, I'll use the analogy, like if you say, is it too late for me to come into this store to go shopping? I can say no, it's not. But 5 minutes later, it may be too late. So why not just ask, what time does the store close? So that's going to answer everything. That's going to give you more information. So ask where the price target is. And if I haven't posted a chart already, I know I'm gonna post a chart. And if it's a question that's more convoluted, I may spin up a live stream and just hop on there, because I'm a coach. I like to do this. And when things get harder, that's when I thrive even more, because there's something to teach now. You know what I'm saying? So if don't just be in a trade because the last trade ran and you're not asking questions. I want to be comfortable knowing that if I step away to go to the barbershop, I don't have to tell y'all to get out of a trade that I'm still holding, because I know it's going to continue. But y'all, it may have had a little pullback and y'all got out, or you know, are unsure what the price target is, even though I posted the chart. You can ask these questions and you'll get elaborated on. Like the only time you're going to get some kickback with certain questions and stuff like that is if you're asking a question like KK said earlier, what channel does the trades get called out? And I'm like, ah, shit. Everybody that come in a group and ask me that question first, they blow their account and they leave. I'm just telling you the truth. So, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know you didn't read the instructions, and you got to read the instructions. I'm not gonna, it's like we don't have a lot of stuff to do here. It's just small things. If you got to do that to make as much money as we're making, just follow that, see if it works. And then we can go from there. But yeah, I'm happy that everybody is here. This is our first meeting that we've had in a few weeks, and let's just move forward. I mean, does anybody have any final last remarks or anything? Cool. And like I always say though, like like I was told last week, because I haven't had these meetings and I was looking for a new way to do these meetings so that way we could just they could be a little bit more, since they aren't really interactive. I was going to do pre-recorded meetings or just find different ways to do it. And a lot of you were like, no, I really want these meetings because I had questions, or I like the format, but y'all never really say anything, and this be the times where the market is closed and we can go through a lot of stuff. But anyhow, let's just go ahead and hop into some chart setups. Well, I probably should go through the economic data first. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit the economic data first. All right. So look, man. So we got FOMC this week. We were in a Fed blackout situation for the last few weeks. Last week heading into an FOMC meeting, no Feds can speak because they got they're in the blackout mode. Now FOMC is a 2-day meeting that starts Tuesday at 8 a.m. Right, and they go in this meeting and they stay in there for 2 full days, deliberating on everything that's going on in the economy. Now we got this tariff situation happening, everything, right? So they're going to make a decision, and at 2 p.m., Fed Chair Jay Powell is going to walk out of that meeting, walk straight to the podium, and give a Fed decision on whether they're going to raise rates, cut rates, or keep things the same. Pause, right? And the market will move accordingly. Now I always say this, but this is things are getting real tight right now and intense in this market. And then on top of that, we just had the S&P 500 and the SPY just now broke into correction territory. We got a bounce. Like on Thursday night, I was talking to KK, And when the market was selling off and we was, eating off those puts and stuff, I told her, I said, she said something to me about something. And I said, well, I feel like now in the SPY is in correction territory. Just look at this. I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a nice bounce right here, but in the morning. And the market melted up on Friday. I'm not saying we're going to get a continuation or it's going to keep going, but we got some good economic data and we got Powell coming out here. This is a very important meeting, the FOMC, the most important. This is probably going to be the biggest one, too, of the year. Is going to, as far as market movement and stuff like that thus far, I believe this one is going to be a big one. So we got to keep our, we got to be on point for that one. And again, that's Wednesday at 2 p.m. and the presser is 2:30. That's when the real volatility happens during that press conference. But then as far as economic data, we got retail sales data on Monday. I'm glad and that's crazy. They made it Monday. I was not aware of that though, right? So we got retail sales data tomorrow morning pre-market. I was not aware of that. And when I was looking for it last week because typically it's a few days after CPI or PPI, but they got it Monday morning tomorrow. So we'll see what that does and what type of volatility that causes for the market. And I can't see how that retail sales data report could be good, but we'll see. It may not be as bad as they're anticipating. So we'll see. We got New York Fed manufacturing index. We got building permits, housing starts. Like I said, the Fed rate hike decision. We got rate decision. We got jobless claims Thursday, Philly Fed manufacturing index Thursday, and existing home sales on Thursday. So we got a full list of economic data coming up this week. So it's going to be a big week, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how y'all feeling, but I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling really good about it. So let's just hop right into a few. Hold on, get this out of here for a second. I'm gonna go here, put this here, but I'm gonna full screen this. And yeah, let's just start here. I'm gonna start with SPY first, man. I'm gonna start with SPY, and I'm gonna pull this one out for a second. So we got SPY. Let's go look at see where that 200 moving average is. Okay, cool. So I can keep that there. All right, so we're not out of the woods yet. We aren't out of the woods yet. But let me look. There's so much noise on this chart, right? So I'm gonna do two things. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna switch my profile because I think that if I switch it to my clean profile, then I can make this look a lot better because I don't have anything on. I think I have, I don't have a lot of lines on this one. I wanted a clean chart for this part. And there's a lot of noise on this chart, so I'm gonna go to the weekly chart. We were gonna check it out anyway. Look at this weekly chart. Now let's talk about one, before I go into the whole chart and everything, let's just talk about this one candle right here. Someone asked me before, like if I can use two indicators and no other indicators for the rest of my trading career, what would they be? And I said, price action and volume. So I just said basically candlesticks and volume. That's all I need, right? And I don't need anything else. I don't need any EMAs or anything like that. That's all I need. This one candle tells a story of last week. Now, not KK. What does anybody have an idea what this candle?
I knew you was gonna say that.
Not KK. Does anybody have an idea what this candle means? Now we know now. So we can start with what is this candle called, first of all?
It's a hammer, like.
Yeah, hammer. Right. Thanks, Raj. And Quasi, if you're talking, whenever you unmute, right, your line is still muted. So I'm not sure if that's something else or a mic or something, but I seen you've been trying to talk a few times, but the mic, when you unmute it, doesn't say anything. But yeah, it's a hammer. So, but look, let me tell y'all what this hammer means. So just for those who don't know, I got this obviously yellow and black. The blacks are my red candles and the yellows are my green candles. So a red candle opens at the top of the body and closes at the bottom of the body because it's red. That means it's going down. So this is the open of the body. Hold on. This is the open of the body and this is the close of the body. The wicks are the low and the high that price has gone. So the candle tells you everything that happened within the course of this week. But it also tells you the fight that happened. So this is a bearish candle. Bears got active. They dragged this price all the way down here like they were killing bulls. It was over for them. And the bulls, they came in resiliently and fought, dragged it back all the way back up here and closed back above this support level right here that was previously resistance at that point, closed up there. So although this candle finished red, that's a bullish candle to me. It showed the bull, so it shows resiliency in the bulls. And also, if you look at the week, the bearish, we still had to finish with a bearish week, but it wasn't as red as the week before. So we got a little bit more, but obviously, and we had CPI last week and everything, but we still did not finish as red as we did the week before. But most importantly to me, it closed above a support level. They found the way to get back up there, right? So that's bullish. That's bullish. But when you still got to look at things in the grand scheme of what's really going on. So I'm zooming out a little bit more. This is the month, and you can see the structure broken down on this. Now the month hasn't closed yet. We got 2 more weeks left in this month, but I'm just showing y'all this. So now we're talking about correction territory, because we not only did we close under the 200 EMA, we went up, retested it, and now we're consolidating under it. We got a little small 222 reversal here on the daily. I got to get rid of some of these levels, man. There's just too much going on this chart. Sorry, I can't do it, man. Hold up. Noise. Too much noise. Yeah, that's cool. That's a lot better. So, we got this going on, but like I said, we got to pay attention to everything. Let me see something. I'm just checking some patterns. I'm always looking for other things. Yeah. And just looking. So yeah, but we got this downtrend. It's been, if you look here, it's been ever since it lost the 9 EMA on here, and then the 9 crossed under the 50. It's been just coming up, rejecting this and coming back down. Now we got a 222 reversal. We've had a few of them before. It's come back up and rejected this and it came down, right? So we got a little relief on Friday. That doesn't mean that we won't get a continuation to the downside. But like I always say, it's on one traffic light at a time. It doesn't matter what you think is going to happen. We're going to follow the price action. And that's how we get our moves here in this market. So right now, what we can do for SPY, the way we can play SPY is a few ways. But let me just, I said I wasn't going to mark this chart up. And I'm not, just showing y'all something real quick. So you can see that how price has just been consolidating in this little range here. It's starting to broaden a little bit, right? But it's been basically trading in this little small funnel right here, right? So we'll just see. What I'm going to say is if it can clear the 200 EMA and close above that, then I'll look at it as a possible reversal, and we can and with volume to back it, then we can look at that as something. Only Powell can probably do that. Now, there's a few other things that can do that, but so right now, if you're looking just to trade SPY, just going into like tomorrow or something like that, what I would say is, you can trade it a few ways, but I like to trade the moves that's going to give me the most money. I don't want to just play in this market just for the sake of playing in the market, right? So hold on one sec. Because we can just play in the market too, but I don't want to play in the market, man. I want to make some money in the market. I feel like if it's not worth it, I'm not risking my life over a few dollars, right? So look at it like that. So I'll say if SPY is able to clear 563.83, we get over that, you can play it up to 566.54, and then what I say 583, yeah, so you play, I'm gonna say if it can get over 564, give it a little margin, so over 564, played it up to 566.54, and then if it doesn't get rejected there, the next target would be 568.97 at the 200 EMA. You know what I'm saying? And then we can look at it from there to see if we get any volume. But so far, we got a 222 reversal, but you can see it's rejected this area right here a few times in the last few days also. That's been resistance here. So, and that's where it kind of closed up here this time. It's look a little better than it did before. So we'll just see how that go. Now, on the flip side, if we were to lose if we were to lose that 511.49 price level, we can actually take this down to 544.50. That'd be a nice move down on that, and then possibly even lower. But I'm just going to stick with that target for now, and we'll trade it when we get there. But yeah, looking good so far for SPY. Try to get a few of these stocks out of the way. I got a few stocks that I want to hit and get them out of the way. Go ahead and get Docu out of the way. All right, we got Docu right here. And I actually have a better chart, I think, for Docu. We'll go back to this one here for Docu. Hold on. Docu. Yeah, so I had levels on this one already. All right, here we go. We got DocuSign, right? So Docu reclaimed, not so I always say market structure over EMAs, right? So yeah, we got the 50 EMA there. Yeah, we bounced off the 9 EMA here. But you see, we broke that downtrend. It was an earnings. Our Docu, they beat earnings and they raised guidance, looked pretty good. And the market, I mean, the stock ran and it had a lot of strength in it. Yeah, it didn't hold all of its gains here, but it found a way to reclaim, because for a minute it was down under the 50 and under this level. Just so happened that the 50 just curved down and lined up with this level that I have here right here too now, right? And so it closed over the 50 and it closed over the that previous resistance, now support. That was previous support at one time too. So it's looking good for continuation. Fun fact is that DocuSign is notorious for gapping down or, right after an earnings move. Now it could have been a lot of market. I didn't look into the market conditions that played into that when it happened a lot of times. And sometimes it gapped up and had a continuation. But the last few times, even after a really good earnings, it gapped down afterwards. But I think it ran a little too much. And then we ended up having a continuation, though, at some point. But what I'm saying now is just something to think about. But I like the way
Antoine, I can't hear you.
Y'all can't hear me at all?
I can hear him.
I can
hear
hear
you.
Oh, okay. Thank y'all. Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, thanks. So yeah, all right. And I'm loud enough though? Everything good?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All
Yeah,
right.
you're good.
All right. Was it good before? Or y'all couldn't hear? I just want to know if I need to repeat. Like, were y'all able to hear me before? Was it cool?
I
No,
heard
it
everything.
was fine.
Okay, cool. All right, thank y'all. So look. So yeah, we got a close over here. Nice close. And so I think the pullback that we got before, I think it was because a lot of times it finished up here or with most of its gains. We came down and cooled off a little bit and then reclaimed this level. It looked like it wants a continuation. Look at this breakout right here. The retest of the breakout area and a surge in volume here. I love it. I think it looks great. And that volume is very convincing. So I'm looking for a continuation here. If you're not in it already and you're looking to play it, it's a few ways to play this. This is a long way to the trigger for calls, but it's a different ways to play it. Let's say market open and it just bounces off this area. You can play that bounce if you're looking for calls, or you can wait until now it's dangerous playing a bounce, especially if you don't know how to read the break down the time frames and play and find a setup. That's what I'm saying. So, but just reference the area. This is support. When a stock is at support and you get in that support, if the market is bullish and the stock wants to be bullish, the worst thing that could happen is the stock comes back down and retests the support area. And there isn't much drawdown when you buy at support unless the structure breaks. And if the structure doesn't break, it's going to bounce. That's just what happens. So you can play it like that, or you can wait until it clears 88.70. If over 88.70, the target would be 90, and then 91.69 and 93.80 and so on. Now, on the flip side, if we were to get a breakdown, I mean, it's a long way down. What I would do if I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Let me tell y'all like this. If Docu loses the 50 and loses this support, right? And volume comes in, before I would just say, because you got a long way down before you get to the trigger for puts. So what I would do is I would look for a setup on a 5-minute chart. And then you could play it down to this area right here as your price target, because that's probably likely where to bounce, or it would bounce down here and then get back up there. So, but I wouldn't wait. That'd be a long way to wait down. So if it loses this level and it look like, and the volume starts to come in, bearish volume, then you can play it the other way. So just that's how we'll look at that one. It's a gap fill area right here, a bullish gap fill that it'll probably likely fill if it was to break all the way down there. But by then, you probably would you've missed out on several $100s by the time it gets down there. So that's just how you can play it. But yeah, Docu looks great here. Here's the weekly. So we got a nice, what is that? A 222 reversal. No, a 223 reversal. It's outside. It's outside on the weekly. Looks great. Looks great. All right, that's Docu. We got RBRK, another stock right now that looks really good after last week's earnings print. We got a nice gap up right here. Look how it bounced off the 50 EMA and just took off. Just took off. And so we got a lot of places where price can go here. It looks good though. Like I said, I'm just going to give you my targets for right now. So again, I like the way the stock looks. So what I would do is, if I was trading this, because again, we made a lot of money on it on Friday. Shout out to the team who was locked in on this trade, and people who followed it the next morning and made money with us, right? But over 71.20, I'm looking for a move to 72.85 and then possibly 75.81. If we were to lose 64.80, look for a move back down to. Damn, that's a move down though. And it will probably happen too. But let me just light this up right here. So we got, if it was to lose that 64.80, look for a move to 62.99. Let's call it 63, and then a move back down to the what is this? 59. Because this is a gap fill. This would be this is actually the gap fill right here. But there's another level here that will probably likely catch up in this area. Hold on. Yeah, I would just probably give it the whole gap fill, honestly. If it was to drop down that far, I would give it the whole gap fill area. So that would be all the way down to 56.48. That's a big drop down. I don't think that's going to happen. This was a nice, I love it. Was a lot of conviction in that close on Friday. And look at this. We got a 223 on this one too, but it's a 223 outside bullish engulfing candle on here. So we got a full bullish engulfing happening on a weekly on this one right here after that crazy earnings print that they had on Thursday going into Friday. So yeah, keep that on watch also. Like a nice continuation. Alta had a cool earnings. You know, the stock ran all day Friday. You see how I got this level marked here on the Alta chart. So it still is not out of the woods yet, but that was a lot of volume that came in there. Alta's been dropping for the last few quarters. You know, it's been a lot going on in that market, that whole beauty space. And but because of the retailers, and you know, it's been a lot going on in the market and just in the economy as a whole. So yeah, that affected that. But that was it was a lot of conviction in there on Friday. So what I'm looking for, if we're able to clear, if we are able to clear 400, if we're able to clear 400 on Alta, if we can clear 400 on Alta, hold up, I said 400, right? I mean, we're able to clear 460, I'm sorry, 360 on Alta. Sorry, I keep saying 400, 360 on Alta. The target would be 365. That would be my first target for Alta to the upside if we were able to clear that. And then my second target would be up here at 375 and so on. That's right there at the 50 EMA. I mean, Alta can actually run. It has a nice move on there. Look like if it gets over 375, if it clears 375, then it's going to fill that gap. But before it gets there, it's probably headed to that 200 EMA at 394. But then we got a gap fill here up to 400. That's where I was looking for, shooting for 400, but I just got there a little too early. But that'll be a big move on there. And you'll also see the breakout that will happen if that was to happen here for Alta, because the stock has been in the downtrend for a while. We just need to break out and get a more of a real reversal. But this looks good so far. We'll see. And plus the market was in in sync with it. So we'll see what happens to the upside on that. Now for puts on Alta, man, if it was to lose 330, we probably make a move back down to 309 if it was to lose 330. So just that's just where it would go, and it would go even lower from there. But let's just see what happens. You can play it off of here. If it doesn't break up here, it's likely going to reject this area and then come back down anyway. So just keep an eye on it. Alta looks good. Nice earnings on Thursday, on the Friday. App loving. Shout out to App loving. So we reclaimed we got a 222 reversal right here. I think that's a 222 reversal. Let me see. Yep, 222 reversal here on App loving, and it reclaimed the 9 EMA. Remember, after it lost the 9 EMA here, it's been having trouble with it ever since. So we finally got it back up. The 9 EMA starting to curl up a little bit. I mean, we gotta see what happens, right? But this is a breakout though. If you look at it here this is a breakout. So we got a little breakout happening right here for App loving. I like the stock. I like the stock. We made a lot of money off of App loving. To trade this one, if we were to clear 298. So we over 298.01, looking for a move to 303 and then 318 and then possibly even higher. So that'll be good for Alta. If we were to lose 292.39, look for a move back down to fill this bullish gap here at 272.88 and then possibly lower. We got a few more moves down where it can go, but just keep App loving on watch. This stock ran up a lot, all of that AI talk and everything, ran it up a lot, and it's a good company. But yeah, it's oversold right now. I mean, and really, and to be honest, if you zoom out or whatever, it's not really oversold. I like where Alta bounced at. It came down here and retested a strong support area here that it's been holding since one earnings gap up, right? And it came back down, retested it where the 200 EMA was at, and now we're getting a bounce right there. That's a good place for any stock to bounce. So now we need to reclaim the 50. So yeah, keep App loving on watch. Very expensive contracts, but you get them at good time. Yeah, all right. All right, here we go. One of my favorite financial stocks to trade is Goldman Sachs. Now, the financial market's been taking a big hit, with these tariffs and stuff like that. So it's been a lot going on with them. But here we go right now. Now, again, we're not out of the woods with Goldman by any means. So don't think that at all. Just look at this chart. Look at how everything is. It came back up to the 200 EMA, the yellow line right there. And you see how price is just it's having trouble clearing back up under. It's bear flagging now. We're getting a bear flag, but we did get a 222 reversal right here on the daily. It bounced off this support right here, and we got some good volume that came in, but it wasn't enough to close over the 200 EMA. Like, I'm not going to say that. Only Powell can do that, and we've seen that many times where where Powell spoke. He said the right things and the financial stocks will run. So that's what we're going to be watching during Powell's speech. So some people may be trading QQQ. Some people may be trading whatever. We're going to be trading probably Goldman Sachs. So this would be a good trade for it. Because, I doubt that we get any real traction on it before FOMC. The market normally chills out around that. We may get a little catalyst. We got Trump in office, so it's always a catalyst for trading, because whether it's good or bad, it's always a catalyst. So there will be some market moving events happening, but for the most part, no real big moves going to happen until after Powell speaks. And but yeah, I like Goldman Sachs. So over 543.57, I would look for a move up to 5. What I say, over 543? Yeah, over 543. I would look for a move up to 553. I would look to a move up to 553 first, right? 553 and 553.27, and then the gap fill up here at, what is that? 559.67. So I would look for those. That would be my targets to the upside. On the downside, if we were to lose that 526.70, look for a move down to 520. And if we take that out, then it's flushing metals. So yeah, let's just we're gonna have to keep that on watch. Keep that on watch. But yeah, I like the banks. But we got a bear flag happening right here. Bears flag. But okay, the week looked good though. See, that's why it's always good to zoom out. Look at this level right here. How it bounced off this level here. Previous resistance turned into support, came back down, retested it, and bounced off of it with a hammer. It finished with a doji here, but that's a hammer doji. That looked like a nice candle right there. So like the week always look a lot, zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out, just like the options trading Bible talks about. Nice chart. Nice chart. Let me hit Meta really quickly. Hit Meta platforms. Y'all know I got this chart marked up like crazy. Let me get some of this stuff off of here. All right, so Meta finished inside. Meta finished inside on a daily, man. Low volume, but it finished with a hammer, bounced off a support level, but it's inside. An inside candle was a 1, which is a neutralizing candle. So although we got this flush right here these last few days, we got all of these 222 continuations. Then we got some consolidation. But if like every chart tells a story, right? It's been coming ever since it lost the 50. The 90 MA. It's been coming up rejecting it, but the trend has been down. It's been making lower highs and lower lows. No inside candles though. No inside candles. We were getting twos. We're getting twos or threes, right? No inside candles. No inside candles. Only twos and threes on Meta. Now we got an inside candle. It's a neutralizing candle. So if the trend was down, a 1 can neutralize that. So we got to see what happens. I mean, I like the way it finished. They were selling up. Meta ran up so much last year and the beginning of this year. After Trump's inauguration, Meta had its biggest run for any stock in the Nasdaq in history, and any other stock since 1980 something, right? So it's been a long time since stock ran as hard as Meta did after he made the appearance at Trump's inauguration, right? So yeah, for Meta right now, what I would be looking for right now is if over 608.86, look for a move to 610. No, I'm saying over 608.86. I'm looking for a move to 613.74, then 619.68, then 620, and possibly even higher. Because look at this. This is what would happen is you got a market structure over everything. What would happen if it clears that? We get a breakout. But we get Meta like a breakout on a falling wedge. We like those for Meta. Meta break out of this. Powell send this thing running like a bat out of hell, man. And with some good news, break out and we make a run for it for Meta. You know what I'm saying? So, but some people get on here, they don't understand the lingo and everything that I'm saying. They just hear the part where I said Meta could break out and run, and they go and grab calls before a setup happens. And that's not what I'm saying. Like, I can be bullish on Meta, but I play what the market gives me. If I can be bullish on a play, but if that setup doesn't present itself, we're not trading it. That's just how it goes. So people who are not on our team wouldn't know that. But so you may see me post a chart and say Meta bullish, but I'm like, if my setup doesn't take place, then it's not bullish. The chart can look bullish, but that doesn't mean it has to play out. It can break out and still have no volume, right? So, but this setup looks great on Meta. That's where I would be on the call side. If we were to lose 594.78, then look for a move down to, what I say, 594.78. Look for a move down to 590, then 586.51, 585.38, and all the way down to 575.73, which is at the 200-day EMA. But like for the most part, it's been bouncing down here. So I think it will probably stop at 585. But if it was to lose that area, we probably take a nice move down for Meta. That can be a good trade either way. But if the market continues what it's doing, we may get a breakout and a push to the upside for Meta. Keep it on watch. Looking good here on the inside. And here's the weekly chart on Meta. Oh yeah, this was a real crazy inside week for Meta. You see bulls and bears are agreeing on the same price. This is a real bona fide doji candle. That's when the candle pretty much opens and closes at the same price now. So it opened at 608.07 and it closed at 607.60. So it closed like less than $1 than where it opened. They pretty much agreed on the same price, the bulls and bears. So it's like a draw right now on the weekly. But and then we had an inside day. So it's just like almost but you see obviously the trend was still down. So we got a indecision situation going on, but we inside. We're gonna follow the price action. We're gonna trade what the market gives us. But yeah, that's Meta. What's up with Tesla? Elon, man, you've been killing the stock lately, bro. You've been killing the stock lately, bro. See, Taylor not even paying attention to the meeting. She on the beach posting videos in the chat, and we in the meeting. But it's all good. I'm just talking smack. Taylor, you fine. You had a good week last week. I'm proud of your progress that you're making, following the process. You get motivated, and I love it.
Thank you, Coach. I'm recording the meeting via Snapchat, but I'm not able to take notes like I want to. So if anybody is here taking notes, please share with your cousin.
Well, the meeting's being recorded on YouTube also, so you'll be able to rewatch the replay. So yeah, I'm streaming it on there, and I'm live on IG right now too. But so yeah, here we go. But yeah, so Tesla, same situation. I'm gonna move this chart up some so you all can see. It's a little dark down there. So we got a 222 reversal on Tesla, but look at what's going on here though. Same situation. It's been all of these stocks, they dropped at the same time. And when everything reversed, when they all lost the 9 EMA, almost every chart that we hit, especially the big tech ones, I've told the same story where we lost the 9 EMA, we came back up, retested it a few times, and continued to make that move down, right? So, but Tesla had, obviously some more things going on with Tesla because of Elon and Trump and stuff like that. But a lot going on. But here we go. That's what story we got going on for this chart. I mean, it looked like a bear flag here, forming on the Tesla charts, what it looked like it was doing, but looked like it's breaking out of that whole thing. But we still got consolidation happening. It's just that. So yeah, I'll say for calls on Tesla, if we able to clear that 251.58, look for a move. Yeah, 251.58. Look for a move to 252.60. And as a matter of fact, don't say 251 nothing. If we're able to clear that 252, I'll say, yeah, if we're able to clear that 252, I'll say 253, my bad, 253.37, clear 253.37, then our first price target would be 255.39, and then 250. We get over that because there's our 9 EMA right there, and then I would be looking for 259.39. So that's a gap fill, the bearish gap fill that we got right there. So I would look for that, but just let it clear that 253.37 first, because otherwise it may go back up and reject that level. You don't want that little small move, to be honest. And I was about to push it a little further, but yeah, I think that'll be fine. If you're able to do that, then you may be able to get a move from Tesla. But there's no point in playing those little small moves, man. It's not enough reward to risk playing that little small move. So I wouldn't do it. I would wait for it to break out. And ideally, me personally, if I was to alert this from my team, I'm not doing it until after it get over 256. That's simple as that. I need a little margin over the 9 EMA first with volume before I'm gonna believe it, because then we can really trade it. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I say that is, look at this. And I'm gonna show y'all that in a second, but let me just hit the downside in a second and first, and then I'm gonna talk about the overall setup on this. And we hit the overall setup, man. Overall setup. But yeah, so on the downside for Tesla, we were to lose that 240.73, look for a move back down to 230.56, that bullish gap fill. That would be the first target on that one. But here we go. What I was saying with Tesla, right? You see it, you got that little bear flag bob right here. You know what I'm saying? It's been chopping up around this area. You can't really see it because I got this. The chart is a little dark. I'm gonna change that up a little bit too, so y'all can see it. But yeah, it's like bear flagging, starting to we get a little bit more consolidation. If it come back up, a good setup for puts though, if it was to come up and reject this 9 EMA, you can play it to the downside. Obviously look for a setup on a lower time frame first. But here we go. What I was talking about is the just the trend here. If we get a break up above there, it'll break out of this downtrend. And I'm gonna show you the weekly on Tesla too. Same situation, but like I said, all of these candles, QQQ and SPY probably got the same setup on them. As far as this go, everybody got this some sort of doji or a hammer. Now Meta looks a little different. Meta was in the middle. They bought the dip on this Tesla down here and took it back up. So this looked kind of good. Okay, but we still got, you got to understand it's still a downtrend, because look, here we go right here. Now, did this bullish finish mean that we were going to go higher? I mean, it did go higher before it went down, because you got to look at market structure over everything and what story the chart is telling. So we got a similar candle right here where and it's still in the downtrend. Price dropped all the way down here, but bulls dragged it up here. It opened a little lower, but then it ran up here. Probably happened within the first few minutes of market open, and then then later on it fills it out and died. But you saw that move. If you were looking for that move right away, you got that move when it opened. Look for a setup, and you still got a continuation to the upside. We knew that we were likely going to get rejected here anyway, because that's what the trend has been showing, right? So you see the same thing happening here. It's coming down. And so yeah, this looks bullish and all. The only difference is it's down here. It came down here to another level and bounce, but we can get a little move to the upside, but then probably a continuation if this isn't over. We just enter correction territory, but I think people feel like, okay, it's okay to buy until Trump starts signing more papers behind the scenes, so we'll just have to see what happens, pressing buttons behind the scenes, right? And go from there. So yeah, we got a lot going on with the market. And I gave you the downside on that. All right, Tesla. And what time are we working with? All right, it's 3:07. All right, I got enough time for one more chart. Hold on. I think I got to hit this chart. Hold on. Gotta hit Netflix, man. Gotta hit Netflix, man. Let me switch this one up for a second to my clean chart. Netflix, man. See, same setup for Netflix too. Lost the 9 EMA, and it's been downtrend ever since. We got a nice bear flag right here setting up on Netflix. So, and it still wasn't enough to get it back over the 9 EMA. It was some good volume that came in on Friday, but still not enough to clear that 9 EMA. So I'm not saying that doesn't mean we won't get any more traction on it. It's just that we're entering a bear market, and you got to look at the stocks. Netflix was another stock that ran up exponentially last year and a continuation this year, hitting new all-time highs. So these stocks got to cool off. It came down here, filled this gap from the last earnings, and bounced. I think that looks good. Although we got a bearish flag happening, look where it bounced. Every chart tells a story. You got to figure out which story it's telling and play accordingly, right? So let me fix this, man. I'm tired of this happening. Hold on. One sec. There we go. All right. There we go. So you see what I'm saying right here, right? Price came down and filled this earnings gap and bounced off of it. Nice bounce. So, I mean, like I said, market structure over EMAs. Let's see if we can get a continuation. I say for Netflix, just look at it in a better way. It's a few ways to look at this to get some traction off of this. You see where it closed, price closed right here at resistance, at a resistance point. Let's see if we can get over this. We can possibly make a nice move, and really nice move on Netflix. I believe we can possibly get, if we were to get back up there. So I'm just marking a few places on here where price could actually go. And we just want to, just keep an eye on what's really going on here, what's really happening in real time to the upside. And I'm just going to mark a few to the downside too. That's cool. All right, got two of them marked. So yeah, we're able to clear that 9. If we clear 920, we want to go 920. We clear 920 on Netflix. And I just feel like if we did that, we should be able to make a move up there to back up to 926, and then up to 941.67, then 953.67, and so on Netflix. If we were to lose that 900, we lose 900, make it looking for a move down to 877.51 and 869.36, but it may bounce at 8 87.51 if it was to do that. But yeah, if it was to lose, now keep in mind, if it lose that that gap fill area, we got a nice flush and metal situation setting up on it. But you got to pay attention to the margin, and this is a daily chart too. So give it some margin, and you can make a nice move on this. But yeah, so far we can see if Netflix can get that push that it needs to finish it. Just like Meta, it finished inside. So let's just make sure we keep an eye on that. Google. So Google, one of the only ones that I was ready to say Google finished inside too. It didn't. But you see, it got a similar setup on it that the other stocks had. Did I check the what's the name on that? Yeah, that's the one I wanted to hit. All right, cool. Let's mark this. There we go. So man, Google is not really too much to say about Google right now. We got a with this stock right here. I mean, we got a 222 reversal on it. Obviously the same setup is going on with these. The only thing Google is more oversold. I mean, I think Google was cheaper than a lot of those other stocks. It's cheaper than a lot of the other stocks that we were trading. So a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable with holding Google, I guess, right? But that stock came down a lot too. It reclaimed another level that we have here, finished, even though it's still under the 90 EMA. So we able to clear 166.49, look for a move back. I mean, there's a few levels we can hit on Google. It's a slow moving stock, so you got to play it accordingly. So like over 166.49, look for a move to 167.77, then 168.94. And then we got a gap fill area above there that could possibly get filled if it doesn't get rejected at the or close under the 167.77. Because keep in mind, a lot of people don't do this and pay attention to this stuff. This is a daily chart. So each candle represents 1 day of price action. So what that means is it takes a whole day for the candle to solidify. So you don't know. You may get a pump fake thinking one thing gonna happen, and then it closes another way. So you may hit your target, take your profit, and now if you want to do a continuation on the trade, you got to see how the daily going to finish. So you should be watching that heading into the close if you're looking for a continuation or something like that. So don't get head faked because you may see a stock running up and think, oh yeah, I'm gonna swing some calls, but then 5 minutes before the market close, it reject this 90 EMA, come back down, give you that head fake, and then you get a gap down the next day. So just be careful on that. Now, if we were to lose 162.45, I'm looking for a move down to 161.01 and then 159.74. So again, just keep Google on watch, man. I got one last chart. I know I just said that, but I'm gonna hit this one last chart. Apple finished inside on Friday, just like Meta, couldn't get enough traction going on. Like they talking a lot of smack about Apple and the iPhone right now. I need to zoom out because it's a little foggy on this one. Yeah, it still don't look good. It looks really bad for Apple, man. And we got back down here, but yeah, it's not looking good for Apple. Let me just zoom out a little bit more. I mean, it might look a little okay right here. It may be okay. It may be okay. Let me just see something though. Hold on. Now, remember, Apple is one of the biggest stocks on the planet. It's interchange. Sometimes it goes back and forth with Nvidia. They fight for it back and forth, right? And so this stock has a lot of weight on what the overall market does too. I like how it did kind of reclaim or got close to reclaiming a level up here. And but it's a lot. It looked like it's a possible more downside. But when you finish inside, you already know what that means, what could possibly happen. So we got to just trade what the market gives us and follow the price action. So what I'm looking for now for Apple, if we were able to, and I'm just marking levels as we talk, as we speak, so I could marking levels. Yeah, everything is getting filled around here. So yeah, we got an inside candle. It looked like it wants to continue down, but when the inside candle is neutralizing, so we're just gonna play what the market gives us. Over 213.95. We're looking for a move to 216.62 and then possibly even higher. So one traffic light at a time. You see the levels on here. Now, if we were to lose that 213.49, looking for a move back all the way back down to the 208.42 and then even possibly 207. So yeah, keep Apple on watch. I mean, if they lose that, then we could possibly have a flush and metal situation. Look at what's going on right now. We got the 50 looking like it's trying to cross below the 200-day. I mean, it got a little ways before it do that, but if this stock drops another $5-10, that's going to sharply make this switch already. And remember, these EMAs are lagging indicators, so they happen after the move already started. So you just got to be following the price action too. But yeah, that's all I got, fam. Thank y'all for hopping on. We're gonna have a good week this week. We finished last week strong, and we're going into the third week of March Madness. Cheers. See y'all tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.